This is where the application comes into play. So we're only using sine. We're only using sine. Sine is what divided by what?
Opposite.
Good. Grab one of those. Okay, so what I need you to do is look at number 1. We're solving for this side. Okay? So we're only going to go from the angle that we have. And it's never going to be your 90-degree angle. So I need you to circle 57. Shh. Circle 57. Now we're using sine, so we have to have an opposite and a hypotenuse. So your opposite is right here. So put an O right here. And then your hypotenuse is the x. So now let's set up this equation. So you're going to have sine, and then your angle measure comes next. What was the angle measure that we circled? So sine of 57 equals, what's the opposite? What was the O? 10.8 divided by, what was your H? X. So that's the equation now. Sine of this angle is equal to whatever's opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Now, you just need to solve for x. So yesterday in that video, it said, when x is down low, just switch them, you know? That's what the lyric said. So when x is down here in your denominator, here's how we solve. Switch this x and this whole sine of 57. So it's going to become x equals 10.8 divided by sine of 57. That's what it should look like. Okay. So whenever x is down low, we just switch this whole thing. Now, you need your calculator. This is the fun part. You need to type this into your calculator exactly like we see it here. So 10.8 divided by sine of 57. And look, I want you to get in this habit. Do you see how this sign right here opened a parentheses, but it never closed it? I want you to get in the habit of closing that parentheses. It's not going to matter for this one, but it will in some cases, so let's just practice closing them, okay? So then you press enter, and that is the measure of your side. You didn't get that in your calculator? Are you in? Make sure your calculator's in degrees. Yeah, you're in right degrees. You have to be in degrees. How do I press? How do I get degrees in degrees? Oh, there it is. Try it now. So what did it say to round to? Hundredths. So x is equal to 12.8. Well, it says 8.7. So that rounds up to 8. So you just found the length of your hypotenuse to be 12.88 long. Did you get it this time?
Yeah.
Okay. Did everybody get 12.8? Okay, so now let's do number 2. Same thing. Circle your 37. We're still using sine. So this x is your O. And then 10.3 is your H. So now set up your equation. Sine of what? 37 equals opposite divided by hypotenuse. Well, your opposite was x, and your hypotenuse was... Okay, so now look, our x was down low here, but now our x is up high. So you're either going to switch them, or if 10.3 is down low now, all you have to do is solve an equation like you're trying to solve for x. Well, this is division. What breaks division? So multiply both sides by 10.3. This? Sure. So now here's how we type this in our calculator. 10.3 sine 37, close your parentheses. You can press multiply. You'll get the same thing. Is that what you got?
Yes. Whoa. 6.2.
Well, we're rounding to hundredths. So it should be 6 point, well, that would round to 20. Can we round to 20?
I'm hard to beat,
Did everybody get this in their calculator? Good. Okay. That's it, guys. Isn't that kind of cool? It's not that bad. But here's the part. I told you exactly what we were using. I told you sine, cosine, tangent. In a little while, you're going to have to figure out which one to use. It will be fun. Okay, let's do cosine. Cosine is what divided by what? Adjacent divided by ADJ divided by height. ADJ divided by height. So circle your 47. Well, which one of these is your hypotenuse? So the x has to be the, not opposite, adjacent. That's okay. Okay, so now let's set up the trig ratio in the same way. Cosine of 47 equals, your adjacent goes first, so x is up high and 3 is down low. And just multiply both sides by 3. You switch them. Uh-huh. Yep.
So we have to close it on.
I just want you to get in the habit, because here's where we might do something like this. Cosine of 47 divided by 3. And if you don't close that parentheses, watch this. So this is not the answer. That's cosine 47 divided by 3. But if I just press cosine 47 divided by 3, I get something different. Okay? So technically, you'll get the same thing right now whether you close it or whether you don't. But I just want you to get in the habit of closing it. Okay? So what do we round this to?
How does it round?
2.05. Yep, I would round it up because the 5 is after the 4, so the 5 rounds the 4 up. Can you try number 4? Thank you. You try it. I want you to try it. I'm going to do it with you, but I'm not going to talk. I want you to try it by yourself. You do 11 cosine of 60. Did y'all get the same thing? Alright, we got 2 more to go. But we use sine, then cosine. So now we're going to use tangent. Tangent is what divided by what? Toa. Soka. Op divided by ADJ. Op divided by ADJ. So if we're circling your 32, that's the angle you want to use. Opposite would be your x, and 13 is the a. So tan of 32 equals x divided by 13. Multiply or divide? Did you get the same thing as me? I got 8.12. Okay, you try number 6. Then we're going to switch it up. Right as you get comfortable, and we'll switch it up on you. Say that again. Which one it is? Well, if you have your opposite and adjacent, then it's tan. If you have opposite and hypotenuse, then it's sine. So you have to know which one you have. Ooh. Yeah? All right. Every time we solve for x, Justin, we were finding what? What were we finding? The side. We were finding a side. Okay, so every time you're finding a side, this was for missing sides. If you flip to the back, we need to learn how to find angles. And it's just a little different. Same setup, but the way you solve it is different. So number 7, use a calculator to find the measure of angle A to the nearest tenth. So put an X at angle A, and then that's the angle you want to circle, because that's what we're solving for. Take 30 seconds and try to figure out if I'm going to use sine, cosine, or tangent. Don't yell it out loud. Look at what you have and tell me which of those trig functions I need to use. I got it? John, what you think? Tangent. Here's why. This is your O, and you don't have your hypotenuse, but you have your A, your ADJ. I like to say ADJ. It's way more fun. Okay, so let's set up our trig function. Now, we've been putting the angle measure right beside tan, but we don't have the angle measure. So it's going to look like this. Tangent of x equals 6 divided by 20. You cannot just plug this in your calculator. Tangent and x. Do you notice every time you type in tan, sine, or cosine in your calculator, it opens a parentheses? Yours doesn't? That's because every time you're using tan, sine, or cosine, you have to have an angle measure beside it. They're stuck together like glue. So if you're solving for x, then you have to divide both sides by tangent. Well, what happens when you divide both sides by tangent is that you take what's called the inverse. So your x now becomes by itself, but your tangent gets this little -1 thingy going at the top. This stands for inverse. And then, in parentheses, you have what your ratio was, 6 divided by 20. Yeah, you have a button. So watch this. So now we need to type this whole thing in our calculator. But you can't just press tangent anymore. You have to press your second button, and then tangent. Do you see how it adds that -1 to the top? Does everyone see their inverse button? This is called tangent inverse, or inverse tangent. So now you would press 6 divided by 20 and close your parentheses. That gives you your angle measure. It says, so now we're rounding to the nearest 10. So our angle measure is 16.7.
This makes no sense.
Yet. We just learned it. Give it a shot. Give it a chance. You just learned it. Okay? Thank you. So, every time you do this, you don't have to go through this step. Okay? It's okay to see I'm solving for an angle, I have to use inverse. Anytime you're solving for an angle, you have to use inverse. So on number 8, let's solve for angle A again. So we put X at angle A, and I'm going to circle the angle X. Well, what is 15? A, H, or O? Uh-huh. And so 3 is going to be A. So it's cosine. Right. It wouldn't be O because your O is going to be whatever's right here, and there's nothing there. So yes, we have to use cosine because we have, so ca, A-H. So it would look like this. Cosine of X equals what divided by what? Good. So I'm okay with you now, from here, going and saying X equals cosine, I want you to write this out, inverse 3 divided by 15. You can go straight to this step and then tell me what they're equal to. So you have to press second cosine, 3 divided by 15. Close your parentheses. So angle A, X, or we could say, or measure of angle A is equal to 78 point what? 46, but we're rounding to a tenth, so 5.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, like, when you get that fraction of the thing,
Uh-huh.
if you like simplify it and you still put it in, would it give you different answers?
No, it'll give you the same thing. That's why don't waste your time simplifying. Okay, 9, 10, 11. We're finding for Z. So go into Z and put an X for Z. And then I want you to try these 3.